Hi friends, I'm Amy Allred and I'm so delighted to be here with you today talking about the art of affirmations. Affirmations are all about being aware of your emotions. So take a moment right now and check in with where you are and determine how you're feeling at this very moment. I, for one, am so delighted to be here with you today. I want you to know that I fully believe in you, that you have so much worth and so much potential and so much value. And I hope that in today's webinar that you're going to learn how to value yourself better and how to take control of some of those negative thought patterns that you have and turn them around for good. Awareness is a key concept in so much of what we talk about here. In coaching and training, it's so important to check in with yourself, to be aware of what's going on in your emotions, in your heart, in your head, in your logic, in everything that's going around, to actually stop and reflect on how you feel and why you feel that way, because that's the first step to being able to move forward and to grow. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Amy Allred, a certified and licensed coach and facilitator on the John Maxwell team, and the co-founder of the Red Umbrella Initiative. An affirmation, for those of you who don't know, is a positive statement that is used to challenge negative or unwanted thoughts. Affirmation, as a word in and of itself, refers to an act of saying or showing that something is true. For example, we often hear the phrase, "they nodded their heads" in affirmation. Self-affirmation, which is what we're discussing today, takes that one step further. The official definition from Merriam-Webster reads, "the act of affirming one's own worthiness and value as an individual for beneficial effect, such as increasing one's confidence or raising their self-esteem." Based on these definitions, do you feel that self-affirmations would benefit you? How would you currently rate your own self-esteem? Think about it for a moment. Did you know that self-esteem is the single most significant key to a person's behavior? I love what Zig Ziglar says. He says, "It is impossible to consistently behave in a manner inconsistent with how we see ourselves. We can do very few things in a positive way if we feel negative about ourselves." In general, we're pretty harsh on ourselves, aren't we? Many of us are more critical of ourselves than we are of others. Even people that we actively dislike. We're harder on ourselves than we are on them. Why? Because we've created negative core beliefs throughout our lives. These core beliefs are based on personal experiences and the lessons that we have taken away from them. These beliefs can also come from observing others. For example, if you had a parent who was highly self-critical, you're more likely to be that way as well. These patterns of negative thinking develop early and become paths that our brain turns to when it needs an answer. Like if something bad happens at work, you're trying to figure out what went wrong, and your brain will begin running through old patterns and beliefs that say you're not smart enough or you're not good enough. The good news is that you can change those patterns. It just takes some practice. A few years ago, a friend said to me, "How would you feel if someone else was telling you the story of your life as if it were theirs?" So if someone else were telling me their life story, but it was actually my story, would I react differently if a friend had been through the things that I had been through? And I was utterly shocked to realize that I would have so much more grace, so much more kindness, so much more compassion to offer somebody else than I would myself. It's okay to offer yourself kindness and grace. And I want you to think about it in the next few days. If your very best friend came to you and told you the story of their life, but it was your life, the things that you'd been through, would it change how you react to yourself? I want you to think about that. Our brains are built to create information that is based on personal interpretations and patterns of assumptions. When we don't have all the information about something, we fill in the blanks with information we already have. Usually this comes from what other people have told us about ourselves or how we interpret other people's perceptions. If you had someone in life who bullied you, abused you, or told you you weren't enough, those negative thoughts tend to stick. That's the issue with assumptions, is that they're not always accurate, but they get saved into our subconscious anyway. Do you know that by the time you're 17 years old, you will have heard the word no 150,000 times. 150,000. You know how many times you've heard the word yes? 5,000. So that's 30 no's for every yes that you've heard in your life by the time you're 17. No wonder it creates this mentality in us that we can't, that we're not good enough, that it's not possible. We all see the world through our own lenses that have been built over time. What we choose to believe about ourselves and our world is colored every time that we believe something, whether it's true or not. Negative thoughts, attitudes, and feelings can create chronic stress in the body, which can have serious consequences. Imbalances in our hormones and chemicals in the brain, and a damaged immune response are just a few of the effects that chronic stress and negative thoughts can have on the body. And not only the physical symptoms, as we're well aware, but emotional and relational ones as well. Affirmations work because of something called self-affirmation theory. This theory begins with the premise that people are motivated to maintain the integrity of self. Therefore, people will reflect on strengths and values when faced with challenges and the need to overcome a barrier. In other words, affirmation helps protect our ego. People seek favorable knowledge about themselves as well as ways to revise pre-existing but unfavorable views of themselves. To seek affirmations, they might seek direct reassurance from someone in their lives, or use something like positive affirmations to provide information directly to themselves. Did you know that StrengthsFinders estimates that only 1 in 10,000 people share the same unique strength that you have? Only 1 in 10,000. When I heard that statistic, I thought that is just mind-blowing. That means in a city where I live, where there's 100,000 people, there's only 10 other people who share my unique strength. And that to me means that the world and my family and my community need me to walk in that strength. And I want to encourage you that your family and your community need you to find that strength and to develop it and to work on it, because the world needs you. The development of self-affirmation has led to neuroscientific, it's a hard word, neuroscientific research about how the brain is affected when we self-affirm in positive ways. MRI scans show that when people practice self-affirmation, certain neural pathways are increased in the self-related information processing part of the brain. This means that those who practice self-affirmation are able to effectively change the way they process information about themselves. We have the ability to literally retrain our brain pathways. Now, I'm not going to say it's easy, but it is well worth it. So how do we do it? The first step is to identify a limiting belief that we want to change. So pick something in your life, a limiting belief that you want to change. The second step is to determine how that belief limits you. Think about it. How does that belief limit you in your life? The third is decide how you want to be, act, or feel. And then create a turnaround statement that affirms you or gives you permission to be, act, or feel this new way. Remember, in the end, it is not what you are that holds you back. It's what you think you're not. Positive affirmations help us respond in a less defensive and resistant way when we're presented with threats. This is because by developing a better sense of self, we basically boost our self-esteem and feel more capable of handling difficulties when they arise. Some of you might have heard the term mantras, which are very similar to affirmations, but also very different. And I'd like to take a moment now to make a distinction between the two. Technically, mantras are sacred words, sounds, or verses that carry more of a spiritual meaning than affirmations. In contrast, affirmations are described by Psychology Dictionary as brief phrases, repeated frequently, which are designed to encourage positive, happy feelings, thoughts, and attitudes. Positive affirmations are not designed to be cures for mental disorders, nor are they a substitute for clinical treatment. However, they can be a very beneficial tool. If you're struggling with anxiety or depression, it's likely that you have somewhat of a negative view of yourself. So affirmations can be a great thing to introduce and incorporate into a full wellness routine. Now, we've covered a lot of information already in this short time, and I want to take a moment to remind you that affirmations aren't supposed to be complicated or stressful or a chore. There are no rules for practicing affirmations in terms of how often you practice, the length of your phrases, what you say, but there's a few guidelines, so let's take a closer look at that. We go throughout our days being mean to ourselves without even realizing it. We look in the mirror and think, ugh, but then we continue through our day. Or we eat a donut and think, shame on you, but we don't really think about it twice. When we allow ourselves to get away with thinking these thoughts, we set a precedent for our own behavior. By increasing our awareness of when and how you speak to yourself or think to yourself, you'll be able to correct your thoughts and begin reforming patterns of understanding. Your mission for today is to be better than yesterday. Not better than somebody else. It's not a competition. It's to be better than you were yesterday. In one small thing. Just one thing. John Maxwell always says consistency compounds. Taking on too much or a huge list or way too many goals in one day is going to lead to failure. So I want you to pick just one small thing to be better at than you were yesterday. Focus on what you can do to learn and grow. This is your journey, not somebody else's. Becoming aware of your negative thoughts will help you fight to reverse them. Remember I talked at the beginning about how awareness is key? However, these thoughts can be hard to catch because we're so accustomed to allowing them in our lives. If you'd like to start off by looking in the mirror and paying attention to where your mind goes. Are your thoughts negative or positive? Are you focused on a specific part of your body? If so, ask yourself where those thoughts came from. Pinpointing negative thoughts is a challenge, but you pinpoint them, you refute that thought, you decide how it limits you, and then you can change it. I'm going to be honest, like I said before, it is not easy work. It takes awareness, dedication, and patience. Remember in the process of learning to be more self-affirming to yourself, to be kind and gracious to yourself. Being negative about a negative thought is not going to help. Consider situations that trigger these negative feelings. For example, many people, it could be putting on a swimsuit will trigger these negative feelings. Or speaking in front of a group of people can also be one, as can approaching someone new for a friendship or networking. Triggers create a whoosh of negative self-talk and emotions like, oh, they'll never talk to me. What do I have to offer? Or I'm so bad at speaking in front of people, I'm just going to waste their time. Take a moment to consider what triggers your negative thoughts. It's very likely you're not the only one facing those triggers and those emotions. There are often many people around us who are facing the same thing we are. And sometimes it's hard to find that connection when we're both kind of caught up between our own walls and our own insecurities. If the words you speak don't have any personal meaning to you, they probably won't work. That's why it's so important to create affirmations for yourself based on your values and beliefs. For example, if you're not a spiritual person, don't choose spiritual affirmations. Find out the things that are important to you, what your core values are, and base your affirmations on those. A good rule of thumb for creating an affirmation is to begin with the sentence or the phrase, I am. Some other guidelines to keep in mind is keep it present tense. Be specific as possible. Be brief. And also keep this in mind. I found this very interesting when I learned this, that the subconscious mind can't differentiate between negative and positive. So if you want to be successful, you don't use an affirmation like, I don't want to be a failure. The subconscious will dwell on the word failure and skip out on the intention behind it. So be careful how you word your affirmations. So instead of, I don't want to be a failure, say, I want to be a success. Search for videos online of guided affirmations. There are many of them. Or try an app like ThinkUp, Shine, or Unique Daily Affirmations. Another great exercise that we do in lots of our workshops is to make a list of your positive qualities. That's right. Make a list of your own unique positive qualities. And it might take some time. And you might have to talk to people around you and ask them and sit and think about, what am I good at? It's good to know what your qualities are, what you're good at, what you value, and what you have to offer the world. In one of our workshops, it's a goal that you have to write 100 of them, 100 positive qualities about yourself. And there's some people who are going to be able to do it pretty quickly, and others who it might take a few months for them. But I encourage you either way. Start a running list of things that you love about yourself, of your best qualities, of your strengths, so that you can use those to encourage yourself when you need it, because you're worth it. Or another way to be inspired, I love this one, is to add value to other people. It's really hard to feel bad about yourself when you're doing something good for others. We repeat affirmations so that they sink deeper into our subconscious mind. Whether you take 5 minutes to repeat your affirmations every morning, or you sprinkle them throughout the day, repetition is an important part of helping your brain soak up the information that you're trying to give it. I have affirmations posted all around. Here, if you were at my desk right now and you could see what's behind me on the wall, you would see that there are many affirmations that are put up there. In my bathroom, I have it hanging on my mirror. On my phone, I have some in my notes section. Before I walk into a networking room or go for coffee with someone that I don't know very well, I repeat these affirmations to myself so that I can bring the best version of myself every time. That I can truly show up in those moments instead of being behind this wall of insecurity and fear. Before I walk in, I repeat affirmations to myself. I make sure that I remember that I have value and that I have something to offer this person or this group of people or wherever I'm going. And like I said, it gives you the opportunity to be the very best version of yourself. And don't we all want to show up like that every time? Spend more time focusing on your affirmations by integrating them with maybe a meditation practice. It's a great way to intentionally spend time thinking about affirmations and to train your brain to take them seriously. If you don't meditate, try repeating them in your head as you go for a walk or go to the gym or a run or swimming or while you're cleaning the house or engaging in some light physical activity. I have some on my phone, just downloaded affirmations that I can turn on audio if I need to hear them. It's a great way to remind yourself of who you are. Get creative and use affirmations as screensavers. Write them on Post-it notes. Pin them up around your house. Set them as reminders on your phone. And if you're finding it difficult to remember to practice, consider incorporating them into your routines. While you're making coffee or driving to work or brushing your teeth, what time of day would work best for you? And remember, there's no rules, and don't make it complicated. It's not a chore. Just pick something, one small thing to start with, and stick with it. I'm going to give you 1 minute right now to repeat an affirmation to yourself. You can pick one for yourself, and remember, don't use a negative. Did you catch that? I used a negative in the negative. Don't use a negative. You want to use a positive sentence. So maybe think of one to yourself right now, something you need to affirm, and I'm going to give you a minute, and I want you to repeat it in your head. Repeat it out loud until you start to believe it. And go. Okay, I know that wasn't a whole minute, but I gave you a little idea of the practice. Once we're done this video and throughout the day, I want you to remind yourself to do that. Do you feel more confident already? Do you feel better? Do you feel more ready to take on the world? I know I always do after affirmations. And I just want to say that I'm so grateful that you all joined me here today. And I really hope that you'll take this information, that you'll integrate it into your life, and you'll start to believe in a greater sense that you have value, that the world around you needs what you have to offer. I had such a great time connecting with you, and I really hope that there was a takeaway from this that you're going to be able to take and apply right away. Remember, one small thing to apply right away. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have questions or comments. I'm here for you all. And Red Umbrella, as always, is here to serve you. We have workshops on, we have one-on-one coaching. We are always looking for ways to add value to you. So if there's some way that we can help you and serve you and help you find your potential or release your potential or increase your leadership or work on a personal growth plan, just contact us. We'd love to chat with you about how to make that happen. We've got a couple of workshops starting in January: Intentional Living and the 15 Invaluable Laws of Growth. So make sure to check out our website. It's only $120, which includes the book, for 10 weeks of facilitated discussions. I really hope you'll consider that, or maybe as a Christmas gift. What a wonderful opportunity to give the gift of personal growth to someone that you know and love. And next month, our free webinar is going to be on the art of connecting at a distance, which is something in the midst of 2020 we've all learned and we're all learning, but there's always more that we can learn, and I sure hope to see you there. Have a wonderful day.